Let's take a brief moment to review. Business needs may spawn from perceived problems or opportunities. However, it's very rare for them to be fully understood when first identified. Rather, helping to gather more information on these needs in order to refine them into objectives or actionable pieces of information is one of the early and most important parts of business analysis. These objectives can later be very useful in forming project charters and other foundational documents that can lead to action taking place. Objectives spawn directly out of goals, which are long-term and qualitative in nature. These can be things like the mission or vision statements of a company. They're some of the overriding principles and philosophies that guide us, but they're not very specific, and they're not time-bound either. Objectives, on the other hand, are short-term and measurable in nature. These have an end, whereas goals can often go on for a very long time. SMART objectives are the type that we should try to create during our work in needs assessment. SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Objectives that are able to properly fill all 5 of these traits are the ones that most likely align best with our goals and organizational needs. In forming our goals and objectives and in understanding our business needs, we're going to have to engage stakeholders. Stakeholders can be any person, group, or organization that impacts or may be impacted by our assessment of needs or by any related project or projects that might take place. They can also be any people who perceive themselves as being impacted by either the assessment of needs or any projects that might follow. Even if they aren't directly affected, the fact that they'll be able to provide feedback, have some input and potential influence over this process means that we should take their insight and their feedback into account as well. Some of the key stakeholders whose insight and opinions can be most important include any sponsors, project managers, benefactors, those who are providing resources to either our needs assessment or any sort of project that might follow, as well as users who might benefit from an objective being completed on a daily basis, implementers or those who are expected to complete objectives, as well as others. These are all critical sources of input in gathering information and forming our requirements and objectives in a way that aligns best with business needs and goals. Of course, not all objectives are going to be created equal, which is why it's important that we take the time to rank them. Some may demand more attention or make more sense to undertake than others for a variety of reasons. Factors can include organizational and environmental factors, as well as constraints on what solutions are available to us. Our existing technology and infrastructure and the necessary technology and infrastructure to successfully complete an objective can play a big part as well, as does, of course, the potential value that completing that objective can create when compared to the cost and amount of time and resources necessary to complete it. Completing a SWOT analysis, with SWOT standing for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, can provide useful perspective in forming and ranking these objectives. In the next module, we'll go a step further, comparing our existing organizational capabilities to those capabilities that will be necessary in order to meet requirements and achieve objectives. I look forward to seeing you then.